Has it started?
I don't know. I wasn't looking at the countdown. I'm waiting for you.
Right.
Did you see the countdown?
Yeah, but then it went to 3 and then it went off the screen. So you're supposed to count in your head.
How do you know if it's recording or not? I can't see anything up my end.
Yeah, it's record. It says it's recording.
So you can see up my end, can you?
I can see up your end.
Okay.
I know exactly what's going on. It's a red circle up your end.
Is it?
Yeah, and that signifies record.
Is it a red flashing circle?
It's just a solid red circle just sat there, looking deep red.
Pretty accurate when I think about my end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what a blood orange, half a blood orange comes to mind. But yeah.
But we'll edit that bit out. Instead we'll say, hi, welcome to the SDD.
Hi, welcome to the SDD. I'm Warsmith Chris.
I'm Winters SEO.
He's Winters SEO, and we're back. We're back again for more of this stuff. We've got loads of questions again this week. Yes. We had questions last week. So basically, lots of lovely new people have joined the Winters Discord, and you could be one of them too. You just have to do the thing that he'll tell you about.
Become a channel member.
Yeah, become a channel member. At least tier 2.
Yeah.
And we've got loads of people who've been joining the conversation. We've got another thread that's popped up for discussing like lore questions that come up in the STC questions thread. So if you want to be really nice and want to help me out, do the questions in the question thread, and have a nice conversation with your fellow Discordians in the other thread. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick out a bunch of questions like we've got today,
because we had questions in the question thread, and then it exploded. And so we've got loads of discussions in the question thread as well, which breaks your tiny mind.
Yeah.
So now we've got, because it's so active in there now, it's split into 2. So questions in the question thread, discussions in the discussion thread. So you don't break Chris's tiny mind. However, having said that, I do like watching him cry sometimes.
It is, it's straight to the tip. As soon as I see it, it's just,
oh no, look at this. I have to go back through. Yeah.
I mean, I struggled. This thing made me count to 3 in my head backwards because it took the numbers off the screen, and that was pushing. That was pushing me to the limit. Yeah. So
push it to the limit. Push it to the limit. Bit of synthwave. We do love some synthwave. Sultan Players love synthwaves. He loves the 80s synthwave, despite the fact that he wasn't even born back then.
No, he wasn't.
Summer child.
We found out that he's like the youngest of us all, isn't he?
The youngest of us all. He looks like one of the oldest. But
he's well on his way to joining the Always Wear a Hat club.
Yeah.
He's seen some things, that boy. He's seen some things.
You have not seen what I have seen.
Oh, I love Sultan. Sorry. We've actually got a question from Sultan in here.
Have we?
I don't even know if that's legal, but we're going to do it anyway because, we love it.
Start with it, see how sensible his question is.
I mean, it's not that sensible.
Okay, let's not start with it.
No. Yeah, I'll throw it in there in a bit. I just wanted to find out how you are first. Like, I can see you drinking fluids.
Keep the fluids up, keep them going. I'm good. I've been did a live stream last night. Don't know when this is coming out. Showed him off.
Yes,
Angry Ron, the OG. And over on my right shoulder are lots of Devastators. Well, they're not Devastators. They are Devastators, actually, for Horus Heresy, and they're all piling up there. Very frustrating, however, because Forge Worlds have stopped making the chest plates for the Emperor's Children. They're just gone from the site. And as we know, the Emperor's Children are the only legion to have worn the Emperor's Aquila on their chest plate, so I want the chest plates. So I think I've got about 10 left. I've got loads of shoulder pads, more shoulder pads than I need now, but not enough chest plates. So I'll reach a point where I won't be able to add any more little infantry in, which is fine actually, because by the time I hit that point, I say little infantry, I mean veterans as well. By the time I hit that point, I'll have about 70 of the buggers running around all over the place. So I'm good with it.
That's plenty. Yeah, that's plenty.
It's I'm glad they did it. Another part of me is glad they did it. Small part of me though is really upset. But yeah, that's what I've been building. What have you been building? What are you working on?
Listen, we've all got the Horus Heresy bug at the moment.
We have.
It's part. I mean, you are to blame for it, but in a good way, because you've been reaching out to the people that I spend time with and making them play Horus Heresy. So I know not all of it's been filmed, but the people have been coming back to me going, "Oh, that game was objectively amazing.
Yes.
You know, more fun than Ninth." So I've just been working on some cheeky little Night Lords for 30k.
Night Lords.
Getting very excited about it. It's all very exciting.
Yeah.
Going back to old rule sets that are familiar, you know, and it does make me wonder whether when 8th first came out, there was this fantastic revelation of the game can be much simpler, and it was great and everybody loved it and everything. But then when I go back to the editions that 6th and 7th were the editions that I least enjoyed, I think I enjoy them now. Like, the 5th was my favourite edition, but I think 6th and 7th weren't nearly as bad as I thought they were. They were just very different.
Yeah.
Because I found myself yearning for vehicle facings and armour values, AVs on your tanks, so that there's you can't be destroyed by a bolt gun with a lucky 6.
It's nice that weapon skill. I mean, for example, really good characters in 40k hit on 2s, right? That's what they do. They hit on 2s. But one of the things Heresy does is you check weapon skills against each other.
Yep.
So you could be someone like the Lion, for example, but if he's got the same weapon skill as Angron, they're both hitting each other on 4s. They're not hitting all the time on 2s. It really kicks in if you've got something with a good weapon skill versus a low weapon skill. They're beating the crap out of the people on 2s, and they're getting hit back on 6s in some cases. So that feels more accurate. That feels like how it should be. Yeah,
2 Primarchs shouldn't just be instant jabbing each other for maximum damage. They should be clashing and have that kind of clash where it's not that easy for them to hurt each other.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've on your streams if you've been talking much about what we've seen of 10th on these cards and stuff, but it's very interesting that they've gone down the Age of Sigmar route as well, where we now have those hit rolls aren't even down to the person anymore; they're down to the weapon, which is interesting.
I am a little bit again sad that you haven't been watching every single one of my live streams.
I try.
I have been talking about 10th. One of the reasons why I've been loving the Heresy so much is because of 9th, and I am looking forward to 10th as well, and doing the things. I've been talking about 10th quite a lot, but basically on the live streams it's almost exclusively 10th edition and Horus Heresy at the moment, because I'll talk about what's on my mind, what I'm interested in, and things like that, unless I get led astray by the wonderful community who follows me into the streams and asks me lots of weird questions, which often happens, and I thank you for it.
I think as well there's been a bit of a smart move here, because by bringing Horus Heresy to the forefront and putting it on the Games Workshop website and having plastic support to a certain extent for it as well, they're basically saying, hey gamers, don't like 10th? Go back and play 7th with like one of the most beloved sci-fi universes you could possibly have at the moment.
The thing about it that shocks me is Sultan plays. He's got like 78 different Space Marine armies, and he's working on his 79th, his Crimson Fist, all of a sudden. And he's only played Heresy with me a couple of times. Not filmed, again, trying to get everyone into the game system. And if you really, really like Space Marines and have 78 armies, well, there is a rule system for you, which is almost exclusively Space Marines. Where they also do what Space Marines do, but better. Like, like 1 minute. Like, you know, the books, right? That's got like 9 codexes in. So you'd think, because all the unit selections are exactly the same, except for the elite bits, except for the Legion specific stuff. You'd think that because it's 9 books in one, that there wouldn't be much differentiation between the different legions, but the exact opposite is true. Night Lords feel completely different to Emperor's Children, feel completely different to Raven Guard, for example. The amount of juice they've been able to squeeze out of that orange is really rather incredible.
Yeah, I was thinking about it because I think Iron Hands natively reduce the strength of incoming shooting attacks by 1, right?
Against vehicles and dreadnoughts and automata, yes.
Oh, okay, not against their infantry. Okay, that changes it slightly.
Iron Hands reduce the strength by 1 against everything that's not a vehicle, dreadnought, or automata.
That's what I was
Iron
thinking.
Hands and Iron Warrior, same thing.
Yeah.
But that's their base thing. But they also have an advanced reaction, and they also unlock Legion-specific war gear. So the Iron Hands have a couple of specific things. They have a couple of specific things. There's also different rights of war, how you go about building the Legion. And by the time, even if you put down an Iron Hands and an Iron Warriors force, they should look and should feel and will feel completely different to each other. And so if you love Space Marines, it really is the rule set for you. Anyway, what were you going to say?
No, it was just that alone got my head thinking about how differently just that would play if you're playing as Iron Hands and everything's -1 strength. It really suddenly changes Marine on Marine action, doesn't it? Yeah. But and also Night Lords, they've got a brilliant reaction called the Better Part of Valor. Yeah, and it's so flavoursome. Yeah. You basically you've got some people, they're going to do something to you. You just escape backwards. Yeah. But if the enemy is declared a charge, and there's another unit that they can charge, your lads basically say, "Oh, charge them instead," and so the attacker can still charge another unit because Night Lords just don't care. They're so they do care, but they'd rather their mates take a kick in rather than themselves. Yeah, but it's wonderful.
It's a very strong strat, actually, because some of the core, because they're the once per game things. Yeah. So some of the core things that the particular legions can do, like Mechanicum. The Mechanicum's one is really powerful, and I played Mechanicum on camera like once, but off camera about 8 times. And I've only ever been able to pull it off once because it's so powerful, it's easy to mitigate. So, but the Night Lords one, you're always going to charge. If I'm playing against you as Mechanicum, at some point in the battle, I'm going to charge you at some point. So you can always pull that one off. Take it, fall back, move out the way. The Mechanicum one is if you shoot at the unit that the Warlord is in, then that unit and every unit within 12 inches can return fire.
Okay.
Because normally you can choose to return fire once. You shoot over here, shoot over here. You can do that reaction. But the AdMech one, having multiple units returning fire is very powerful. And the only reason why I've been able to pull it off once is because, unlike 40k gotchas, you know exactly what your opponent's once per battle thing is. So everyone I've ever played against in Mechanicum, I'm not shooting that unit.
So you actually have to bait them into it. You have to make it that they have to shoot this in order to do something. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. But I like it.
Yeah, they'll just move forward and shoot this and shoot that and shoot that, and then they'll try and charge the unit that your Warlord's in, or ignore it and attack everything else around it. So I like that as well. The really pokey ones, and there's a couple of really pokey ones, don't get played as much as the more easier ones. But then the easier ones, like the Night Lords, I'm going to fall back, and therefore you can't charge me. So if you want to charge, you have to charge another unit. Yeah, that isn't stupidly broken.
No.
So there's a power, and they've worked that out, and it's narrative. It feels good. I like it.
Yeah. You're probably going to get until 10th drops proper, and we know all the lore, because we can't really talk about it because, as we know, Winters gets things in advance and knows things in advance. So it's kind it's a tricky thing to walk on. So. For a little while until 10th is out, we're probably going to keep coming back to Horus Heresy because it is fantastic. So get used to it because we're going to mention it quite often.
I'll have to say is that when 10th comes out, I'm looking forward to continuing with Horus Heresy as well as doing. It's going to be a thing on the channel now, people. So it's my hobby journey, and I'll share it with you. And if you not interested in the Horus Heresy, don't worry. There'll still be lots of 40k content, and there still is lots of 40k content.
And the systems are going to drift further and further apart as well, just because of the way Horus Heresy, I think it was 5th edition. Horus Heresy version 1 was 5th edition.
Was it fifth?
I think it was
Might have
fifth. Yeah. And now second edition, which, you know, the edition length is much, much bigger than a 40k edition length. This has gone to seventh, so you can be sure that the two systems are going to play very differently. So you'll still, there's still great value in watching both 40k and 30k because they're a completely different experience. Anyway, before we just turn it into a 30k excitement hype podcast, which you should get hype for it, and then we can all meet up and we can play, and that'd be really nice. I think we should have a look at some of these questions.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
you've got to have a plan, that way you know when you're not following it.
We'll start with Sultan's.
Will we?
Question, just to get out of the way, because it's very simple. It's very Sultan. He just asked me what my favourite Space Marines chapter is, and he asks you what your least favourite Space Marines chapter is.
Would that be Chaos or Imperium, or?
I mean, he says, "What's your favourite Marine chapter?" And there are no chapters in Chaos; they're only the legions. So,
okay,
we'll assume he's talking about chapters from 40k.
Okay, right.
Do you want to start with your least favourite, and then I'll?
No, I have to think about my least favourite Marine chapter.
If I have to go in with my favourite, then I am a big fan of Black Templars because of who they are in the 40k setting. I think they're very close to the sort of cathedral grimdark aesthetic that I fell in love with originally. You know, having candles and all the gothic stuff. Obviously the Sisters of Battle have really nailed that. The new Sisters Rangers really nailed that, but Black Templars were, you know, the Space Marine version in terms of the aesthetics and everything. But I absolutely love the Mortifactors, just because they are savage cannibals. Who are also incredibly loyal Space Marines, make incredibly loyal Space Marines, and still wear like the skulls of their enemies. So they're about as chaosy as you can get, but in a completely loyal framework, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like, I love loads of chapters. I absolutely adore Blood Angels. I think Blood Angels are amazing. I love everything about them. And the Mantis Warriors I love. I've got a little Mantis Warrior army.
Nice.
There's too many. I love a bit of everything.
Okay.
But if I had to pick, it's somewhere up there. It's Black Templars and Mortifactors.
You love to spread it around.
I love to spread it around. That's what the STCs are all about. Yeah.
See, yeah. Okay, nice. It's good. Show everyone a little bit of that love.
Yeah.
A bit of that STD love. Yeah. My least favourite chapter. I really thought about it, and I couldn't think of any. And then I thought, my brain went, well, that's not how I like Space Marines.
Yeah.
My first army of Space Marines, and they're what drew me to the. I like Space Marines. I like 40k, and 40k and Space Marines go hand in hand, a bit like milk and sugar.
Yeah.
In tea, Builder's Brew, milk, 2 sugars. So I can't think of any that I don't. To say least favourite means that there's some that I dislike. I think, and I can't think of any that I really dislike.
Minotaurs?
Well, no. I mean, it would be nice to say the Minotaurs just to upset Rapscallion. Yeah, let's say Minotaurs. Then.
Minotaurs, yeah.
Yeah, let's say Minotaurs. They're horrible.
The worst chapter.
Yeah, who don't ever read Agents of the Throne and all that, because they're awesome and that would change your mind. Yeah, Minotaurs suck. Suck big donkey balls.
Yeah, so anyone who plays them.
Yeah, anyone who plays them. Oh, terrible people. Terrible human beings. Yeah. They don't recycle. And they've webbed toes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I've got a side question. My own side question that's come from that. How come the Imperial Fists created so many awesome ass-kicking characters? You've got Fafnir Ran, who created the Executioners. You've got Sigismund, who is an absolute legend.
Templar, yeah.
Who trained with Khan and learnt to fight with the World Eaters.
Yeah.
You've got the Crimson Fist. I love the Crimson Fists. So part of the reason why I think Sultan started his Crimson Fist is I gave him 10 of my old tactical marines that
was it,
painted
basically
in Crimson Fist colours, and he went,
Yeah.
let's make an army out of this. Why are all those amazing things coming from the Imperial Fists of all people, who are the builders? You know, like,
Yeah, I think it's because Chapter Master Varric has secretly got many shares in Games Workshop, and so he makes sure that
I think
they
you're right.
write as many Imperial Fist characters as possible. Basically, I think that's what it is. You know, all the leaks he comes up with on the YouTubes and stuff.
Yeah.
That's because he's a majority shareholder. He's in there dipping and out and dipping. They're not unofficial leaks.
He's written those.
He's written them himself.
Yeah, and they're happening.
Yeah, they're official leaks. Leaks are actually good for a business. Obviously, if there's too much too soon all the time, then it can colour launches a little bit. But having stuff leaked and teased months and months and months before the official, and then the official, and then the pre-stuff, the pre-launch stuff, and then the launch stuff keeps people chatting about them for a while. He knows this because he's a majority shareholder in Games Workshop. I think that's what it is.
I'm very suspicious about GW and their leaks at the moment. First of all, that orc knob that got accidentally sent out to someone who happened to also have a painting Instagram. Yes. And it got leaked around. And then, we accidentally sent the brand new Blood Angels. Oh, what's his... why am I forgetting his name right now?
Blood
Dante.
Angels? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, the accidental sending of Dante out.
To who?
They sent it to a customer who ordered Dante, and then they leaked it, and then the next day it was on all the...
Dante.
It was all up on... He's dropped early, you know, we couldn't contain him, and he was on... I feel like it's slightly orchestrated. It always goes to someone who... I'm not sure.
You don't think instead... Here's an opposing point of view.
Yeah.
That Games Workshop muck up.
Well, I mean,
now and then.
They probably do.
Because they do also have a track record of doing that. There's a couple of things... I can't talk about it. What I can say is some of the NDA things have not gone well.
Brilliant.
with the models or the timings or the wrong things or the if there was a plan behind that, I can't see it myself.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
But this is the thing. I mean, you should never. What is it? Don't ever assume malice when incompetence could be that thing. See, that's an intelligent saying that I almost got right there.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? But no, you're probably right. There's probably also sprinkled in amongst the leaks and stuff that they really want.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, maybe.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit war, a little bit wee, a little bit governor. All right,
all right, mate. Yeah. Fancy little Dante. Go on then. Yeah.
You don't come round my manor, mate. You get chopped up. You want to meet my mate Stanley? You know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Americans right now are sitting there going, what? What?
Just come to Swindon.
Don't.
No.
Don't. Don't even come to the UK. Go somewhere lovely,
don't come to the UK.
The Caribbean or Cancun, somewhere much closer where there's sunshine.
These poor guys that fly in from faraway lands all over the place, and Germany and America, and come to our events, and they must just be like, what is this place? What have I done?
I know. There's a few that have come now. Like there's Wrath of Constantine, who's been to the Weekend at Bernie's a couple of times, but also some of the DZ events. We've had a South African, Australian, German, Canadian, and they end up in Salford in Manchester.
They got no idea what's going on. How did this happen?
Even people who live in Salford in Manchester don't want to live in Salford in Manchester.
Oh, bless them. Anyway,
that's why Element can ship the stuff so cheaply, because they basically live in a bomb site. It hasn't been repaired since World War II. Questions?
Yes. This is specifically for you. It's from Quicksilver, and it is: what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
African or European?
There we go. He understood the assignment, Quicksilver. That was Quicksilver. Thanks for that great question. That was great.
Thank you, Quicksilver, one of the X-Men there. Yep.
We'll throw in another one of these questions. There are lore questions, don't worry. But Rue just wanted to know whether bacon was smoked or unsmoked. And I will say right now, if you eat unsmoked bacon, you might as well. There's something wrong with you for a start.
Okay.
And second of all, you might as well bite a chunk out of a live pig because it just tastes like weird ham.
But here's the counterpoint. Why not both? I mean, bacon. Bacon is love. Bacon is life.
Bacon's good, but you want it smoked. It's like, why? Do you want a smoked brisket, or do you want a brisket that's been fried on both sides and then slapped on your plate? No.
Smoked food is really. I tell you something though, because the other half, she's from the continent.
Yes,
and they love their smoked meats. And at Christmas time, her dad makes these smoked kibasas.
Yeah,
and he will smoke them for days.
Are these the skinny ones? The very skinny ones?
You get skinny, you get fat, thin, huge, long, tight. You get all sorts of sizes. Yeah. But the Christmas ones, I mean, they are like horse. They're large.
Yeah, they're big.
They're large sausages. And hours and hours in the smokery and just soaking in. Because when you smoke something, they've also got a constant low heat. Yeah. So all the juices you're right. Smoked is nearly always preferable but bacon's bacon. I mean, you could put bacon on anything and eat. You could put bacon on a slice of raw onion and I would eat it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Probably would. My other half is also from faraway lands, and they also do it with cheese.
Yeah.
They smoke the cheese and it's like rope. It's really like stringy and it's amazing. It's like,
I'm so food motivated. How about you? I'm really food motivated.
I hate food.
She can get me to do anything for food. Yeah. I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wafts coming up, and I'm sitting here hobbying away. Is it ready yet? No, it's going to be another 3 hours, and I have to put up with that horrible. Well, lovely
just
smell,
teasing,
but this horrible teasing for 3 hours of foreplay before it's. God, I love food.
Do you eat corn on the cob like that? Like a typewriter?
Like it's like people who don't like trying new food. I don't understand it. Because one of the free things that you can do in this world is put stuff in your mouth. Children do it before they can even talk. They put stuff in their mouth all the time.
Worms.
It's like, what's this? Can I eat it? What's this? Can I eat it? Nails, whatever it is, sand. Yeah. I used to, apparently when I was very young, I used to dip my sandwiches in the sand and when we were at the beach and stuff. Children put stuff in their mouth all the time. Can I eat it? Can I eat it? Can I eat it? Can I eat it? The eternal human quest. And then there's some people out there who like, here's some new food. Did you like to try that? Here's a new place with some new food. Would you like to try that? And it could be like a goat's eye dipped in chocolate, and it's the local delicacy. Would you like to try it? Hell yes, it's a local delicacy for a reason.
Don't give it a go.
There are obviously some exceptions. Like I think it's the Swedish or something that take the piss with that raw shark's liver. You know that one?
The fermented stuff.
The fermented, yeah. I mean, even they don't eat it. It's a whole internal. It's something that they used to eat back in the day when they couldn't eat anything else, and it was frozen, and the sun hadn't come up for 5 years in the winter time, and all they had left is the fermented crap at the bottom of the ice pit, and they eat it, and they still sell it these days to Americans mainly, who come over there and go, oh yes, we really eat this. Yes, it's really tasty.
It's delicious. Yeah,
it's tasty. You want to take some of this home?
I've seen people on YouTube like open it and throw up from just the
immediately.
Smell. Yeah, from the smell. I mean, that's not a good start.
So, I mean, there's exceptions to every rule.
Yeah.
But 99.99% of something, if you're in front of me and try and put something in my mouth, I'll try and swallow. Basically, is what
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that we are something of a great devourer species ourselves, right? Yeah. Yeah.
See, it's the STC where we talk lore.
Yeah, because John Luke, this is a big ask, right? John Luke, who
that's Star Trek.
Still no bloody vowels in there. Yeah.
Right.
He goes, I'd love an overview of the Bug Wars so far. Ahead of 10th, and it sounds like what he's asking for is just to reel off the complete history of the Tyranids leading us up to 10th edition. I think you should go for a quick one, yeah.
I could do it really quick. So, Great Devourer outside the galaxy. First attracted to the galaxy by the light of the Pharos, which was lit during the Horus Heresy.
Yeah. Is that the mountain machine?
Yeah, the mountain machine.
Yeah.
And they turned their beady eyes towards us. In front of all the Hive fleet, so obviously Gene Stealers, Lictors, and they can infest the galaxy and infest thousands of years. Anyway, first war, the Tyrannic Wars ended with the desolation of Macragge, and the entire first company of Ultramarines wiped out to a man on the northern polar fortress.
Rest in peace.
But it was a trap. Macragge wanted to. Calgar was in orbit, and he wanted to gather them all there and put all his and pull them all so he could bomb them. And that was the end of the first Tyrannic Wars. Second Tyrannic Wars is the splinters of all of those things going off in different directions. Hive Fleet, Kraken, things like that. Then you have the third Tyrannic Wars, which is mainly from the south, which was blunted by the Octavius sector. Basically, in Chrysler Cryptman, virus bombed hundreds of worlds, committing trillions of people to death. So when the Hive Fleet came wandering in like this, it's like, oh, there's no life that way. They're very food motivated. So they took a hard left and ended up in the Octavia sector, which is one of the largest Orc empires. And they've been fighting there ever since. But some of them have been spilling out, getting past the cordons into the wider galaxy. And that's it. And now we're on to the fourth Tyrannic War, which is coming from the other side, from the left, over there.
Who's the Doom? The Doom.
The Doom. So some of them have the Doom of Malachi, the Doom of Moloch, the Doom of.
He was a Psyker. He was a Psyker Tyranid, wasn't he?
Zoanthrope. He's a named Zoanthrope character. Like the Swarm Lord is a named Hive Tyrant, and Old One Eye is a named Carnifex. Basically, they're like paragons of their type that seem to stand out above the normal type of that breed. And on certain worlds, they end up getting names because that's where they were seen. But there's more than one of them out there. They're just,
There's also Baal.
Baal
got a visit, which we talked about many times now.
Years.
But there you go, John Luke. Brief history of the Great Devourer, heading from outside our known galaxy. And is it just the tip of the iceberg that we see? Is it? Will they consume all? Let's find out by perhaps waiting a long time.
Yeah, because how long will it take to eat a galaxy? It's going to take a while. So it's going a couple of million years, right? So it's never going to go away. This is always going to be here. This is always this is the thing now.
And they can't even eat Necrons, though, can they?
No.
So
no, it's all biomass and stuff.
Yeah, which leads me to the next question from a solitary Necron who is obviously feeling a little bit left out by events that have happened.
And the other Necrons.
Yeah. So the solitary Necron, the last one that's around, said, oh no, I split it into two parts.
Oh no, what have you
done? Basically,
yes,
I won't read it because I've lost the bit where the actual question's asked. They were talking about the Silent King, and how it felt like less of a big deal as to what's happening now. So perhaps felt a little bit underwhelmed by the big story progression when the Silent King returned. And they were asking, do we think that the Silent King is going to have more of a part to play in what's building up now? Are the Necrons going to have more of a part? Now, I came back and said that we have ourselves discussed Necrons on an earlier STC about how actually everything that happens is fairly irrelevant to them because they will exist through this and past this. And what is an epic event in the in-game universe to us might just be a blip of time to sleeping Necrons that didn't need to know about it. But do you think Necrons have got a bigger part to play in what is coming in the lore?
Yes.
Winters. There we go. Question answered. On to the next one. I'm going to take it to mean that that's where we have to stop. For reasons.
Well, no, I can't say.
No, you can't say
about any of that stuff. But
I can't say about it.
Yes, Of course,
Yeah.
they will. I mean, the reason why they're bigging up the 4th Tyrannic War, like the war to end all wars, is because it's a launch box thing with 10th edition.
Yeah.
If they weren't in the launch box and it was, I don't know, Death Guard and Chaos again, then they would be bigging up for the 10th edition launch. It'd be all about Arcs of Omen, Return of the Lion, and these massive space hulks, which can now... The thing about the Arcs of Omen is they can cross the Great Rift. The galaxy's ripped in half, and normally you can only get through it through the Nachman Gauntlet up in the north, and there's another one down in the south. There's the safe, stable warp passages, and that's why there was the battle at Vigilus at the Nachman Gauntlet to secure these stable warp routes through the thing. But Arcs of Omen can just cross the Great Rift, because they carry their own mini Astronomicons.
Nice.
And they carry their own mini Astronomicons basically, and they've got their own demon thinking machines guiding it, so they can go across. So you'd think that you wouldn't need to bring in another big bad. The fact that Chaos can now pop up anywhere at any time in a 100-kilometer wide space hulk, which has the power of a fleet, would be the big thing.
Yeah.
But they've got a Tyranid range to flog, so it's the 4th Tyrannic Wars, and we've got more Tyranids and a massive launch and massive reveals for Tyranids coming up.
Yeah.
The same thing will happen when it swings round to Necrons. Hopefully, probably, maybe.
I think they've had their bit for now. I think they got a whole refresh.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Side note: are you loving the new Terminators? Because I am. So we put it out there.
Yeah, I am loving the new Terminators. They're big, they're dynamic. I like the rules for them. I think there was a missed opportunity though, because you could have had in the sprues. They've got the assault cannons and they've got the missile launchers and they've got the flamers. Mm-hmm. They could have had auto cannons and Volkite cannons and plasma cannons as well as a unit option. They don't have to be tied into exactly what they had before. You could have given them a bit more stuff. I'm a 40k player. I want more. I want more. I want more. I love the new Terminator models.
Yep.
But there could have been more. There could have been, or a new close combat weapon, or a new thing. There could have been a new.
There could have been a new thing.
There could have. Here's another new thing. Hey, here's the really cool Terminators. What's that thing on their back? That's not a Cyclone missile launcher. It's got a thing that comes up.
Yeah,
and
what
is that? And it turns out that 1 in 5 of them can take these conversion beamer stuff, or a something shield, or a something deflector, or a something. You'd be like, oh wow! And then people wouldn't. Yeah, there's something they could have done, because you can still run your old Terminators. They're just going to be smaller, but they've got all the same kit on.
I'm a big Terminator fan, Winters.
Terminators are
big Terminator fan, and I love the look of a Terminator with a power fist and a combi bolter or a storm bolter.
Yeah.
I've got boxes of Terminator. I've got loads of Chaos Terminators unopened.
Nice.
That I don't even know what they're going to be for yet. I just have them because I got them when they're available, and I love them. I love Terminators to bits, and they go through ups and downs of being good and bad, but they're always Terminators. They're always going to do something, no matter what the edition is. So.
Terminators are so cool that they made different plastic kits of the same stuff.
Yeah,
Tartarus, Cataphracti, the new ones. I forget the name. The pattern is called. Is it Apocalypse pattern? I forget the name. Someone will know. What's the pattern? The current Terminator pattern. And they've only really done that for 3 units in the Space Marines. Terminators, normal Marines, because you can get Mark 3, Mark and Dreadnoughts. There's different things of Dreadnoughts.
I want plastic Saturnine.
Saturnine?
Yeah. They're the ones with the huge dome shoulders.
Oh, Saturnine pattern.
Yeah.
Luton did a video on them and said they might be, they might not be.
Okay.
They actually might not be Saturnine pattern. There's definitely a Saturnine pattern Dreadnought somewhere.
Yeah.
But those huge dome ones might be an Iron Hands specific thing, because Iron Hands played around with all sorts of things, because that's what Iron Hands do, and Iron Warriors and a few others. But there's room for more Terminators, definitely. Terminators are cool.
More Terminators!
Terminators are so cool. Space Hulk is cool. The board game is cool. Why haven't they released Space Hulk again? Come on now. Release
Love
Space
it.
Hulk.
Release it again. So I have the when Space Hulk was re-released and no one could get it.
Yeah.
The lovely one with the really good sculpts in it. People
Nice.
were selling the boxes of all the tiles and the rules and the instructions. So I got one of those, but I don't have any of the models for it. So,
Okay.
I can play Space Hulk, just I don't have those beautiful... because one of them was like an objective of like a Terminator who was like dead in the throne, and such great stuff.
See, they do the walls now for the boarding actions, right?
Yeah.
So if they do a whole set of boarding action stuff, you could release with the new Terminator kit and new Gene Stealers with the tiles, and put the walls in there as well. Just re-release Space Hulk OG rules, and I'll play it. I'll stick it on the channel, and people can get to see it and enjoy it. It's so simple,
So good.
and hard. It's deliberately
Really
hard to complete. If you're a Marine player, you've got to keep at it. Which is
So
good.
during lockdown, I spent a few evenings with Dark Angel's Chris playing Space Hulk something or other. It was on the consoles. It's just a 1-for-1 recreation of Space Hulk, pretty much. And
Nice.
I played as the Gene Stealers, and it is extremely hard for Terminators to win because you only kill on 6s.
Yeah.
And I think you get like 2 shots per Terminator to get a 6 with, and if not, these things are coming at you and they're going to kill you on 4s or something ridiculous. I can't remember now, but fantastic game. I'd love to play it again.
Yep.
Let's hope it comes out. Andy R.
Okay.
This is a bit more of a rulesy one. If the rumours are true and there is no difference in rules between Firstborn and Primaris Marines, how would that affect the law as it stands, if at all? I'd just like to say that I don't think it will and should affect the law. Having them share, I mean, all it does is it unifies the Space Marine faction as a faction that gives you loads of options.
Yeah. A rule change doesn't equal law change.
Yeah, and Firstborn Tactical Marines still have a difference to an Intercessor squad.
Yep.
Still completely different utilisation if you want to. Weapon choices and all that. So,
And in the Arcs of Omen book, for example, it says, like, on the fight that Dante has on the rock, he sent off the Hellblaster squads that way and the Devastator squads that way, and in bunk this position with Tactical Marines and asked the Intercessors. So even in the spread, in the flow, in the lore, Dante is using different squads to do different things at different times, regardless of whether they're Primaris or not Primaris. They have a function.
Yeah.
And it's,
I think they sit together well, and I think we should probably appreciate more the fact that Games Workshop didn't make a terrible mistake and immediately just chop them out, which they could have done.
Here's the thing. I think Primaris are so like, they feel so dislocated probably because of that keyword Primaris and the rules in the Codex. If they didn't exist, that keyword Primaris, say it never existed, say there's Primaris there's Marines, and some of them have been Primarisified, some haven't been Primarisified, but in the codexes you've got Hellblaster squads, Devastator squads, Assault squads, Intercessor, you've got all the and then all the stratagems affected them equally. The guns were different. Well, the same bolt gun is a bolt gun is a bolt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Intercessors shouldn't have bolt rifles and the other guys have bolt guns or fire. Intercessors should be able to get in rhinos, and Terminators should be able to get inside the repulsors if they want to. If that wasn't a thing in the rules and they were all just there, then I don't think people would consider them. I think that would have taken the edge off quite a bit. Part of the towards them, part of the kickback towards them came because of the way the rules were presented as quite clearly a way of selling models.
Yeah.
We've done the rules like this, so you buy these guys.
And separating your army so that it doesn't work if you combine certain parts
They
of it.
didn't need to do that.
No.
They were sold just as many models. And proof that they didn't need to do that is by the time it came round to the Chaos guys and World Eater guys, they didn't even buy. Hey, look, World Eaters are now Primaris World Eaters. No, they're not Primaris World Eaters. They're still Khorne Berserkers. They've just got a new kit. And the Chaos Space Marines just got a new kit. And other guys just got a new kit. Like, by the time they got to the other factions, they're like, we don't really need to do that, because people will buy the models they like. If you like the model, you'll buy it. It doesn't matter how cool the rules were for Centurion Teletubbies. They never sold very many Centurion Teletubbies, except for tournament players and Brapscallion.
Yes.
I mean, I've got some as well, but I've literally got one kit.
I like them. I will pick some up at some point in the future, maybe.
Space Marines inside Space Marines.
Yeah, I think they're ridiculous, and sometimes I do like ridiculous Warhammer stuff.
It would have only made sense to me if there was another, because I'm a Space Marine and I'm inside this power armor, and now I'm going to get my power armor inside another suit of power armor. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Why would you just plug yourself into the upgraded power? The only way it would have made sense to me is, here's a cool idea. Imagine if your Space Marine in power armor could get inside another suit of power armor, and when that is reduced to 0 wounds, they could eject from it and walk around.
So like an exosuit. So almost like what they did with the what are the really nice, what are the little scout dreadnoughts called?
Penguins?
Yeah, penguins.
Scout dreadnoughts? But yeah, some sort of exosuit thing.
The roll cage ones that aren't really dreadnoughts.
War suits.
The thingy war suit.
Invictus war suit.
War suit. If the Centurion suit was something open backed and they get in it and it's like a big power suit, that could have been cool. Yeah. But then you risk looking like the Grey Knight Walker with the Space Marine strapped
Dread Knight.
to the.
It looks really cool. I like Dread Knights.
Just a little man.
Dread Knights did nothing wrong.
No, they did nothing wrong. I like them too. They're great. They're weird.
You said you like weird.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's what I mean. They're weird. Yeah.
They need to be in a big. That's for when they're fighting big demons. Because Grey Knights, most demons happen to be around the size of humans, which is very handy when you're fighting demons. That 99% of them are human-sized. Very handy. But sometimes some of them are bigger. So you need to be. So there should, as well as the Dread Knight, there should be like a Dread Knight where they get into even bigger.
Well, the Dread Knight gets into the Dread Knight.
And they get into a Dread Knight, which gets into a Dread Knight.
Yeah. I'm up for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, I think when that does happen, and it probably will happen, when your Space Marines can jump on an Impulsor, regardless of who they are, that's going to be cool. Just to slide back one moment, I disagree slightly on the fact that Primaris shouldn't have bolt rifles. I think they've separated Intercessors by having them as a bolt rifle team, and to have a slightly bigger, newer pattern bolter that maybe the old guys wouldn't. They're accustomed to their bolters, they don't need a rifle.
If you've got a bolt rifle which can have a higher caliber shell and fire a bit further, just give them to normal Marines. Normal Marines can lug around las cannons and missile launchers, and in something that takes a guardsman, 2 guys to crew, the heavy weapons team. Space Marines can run around with them like it's a Tuesday. My problem isn't Intercessors having bolt rifles. My problem is all Marines should have bolt rifles.
Can have them, if they want.
If they, just give them the bolt rifles.
Just give them bolt rifles, guys.
Yeah.
Right. The next ones we've got. There's actually some more people talked about that as well. Hop 505 also talked about the transport restrictions, hoping it'll be lifted. I think it's something that people want, basically, isn't it? It's the idea that you can do all your Marines in one thing. It
doesn't make a law sense that the Popo are coming for you, dude. I can hear it. Know. It's definitely up your end. It's not.
Something's happening. This is why you don't come to the UK. That's
in
normal.
A minute there'll be everyone will hear that. Please open up, and the camera goes black at your end. Yeah, they found me. There's no law reason why they Hellblasters. So there's obviously law reasons why certain Primaris squads have been organised in certain ways. So Hellblaster squads, Inceptors, Gravis Marines, all that sort of stuff. They're organised and deployed in certain ways, just like tactical Marines and Devastate Marines and Assault Marines are deployed in certain ways. But there's no reason why their generic weapons, like bolt rifles, this, that, and the other, they can't all use, or generic vehicles they can't get in and out of, or drop pods they couldn't get in and out of. And some really weird rules interactions happen, such as, I think it is the Thunderhawk has got a rule which allows Primaris to get in it.
It does, yes.
But the Stormhawk doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems it's very slapdash, isn't it?
Yes.
And actually, it reminded me of something as well. When you were talking about the fact that they binned off the idea by the time they got to Chaos and didn't say these are Primarisified Chaos Marines, they just released new Chaos Marine packs and stuff like that. There was something that I noted, and I can't actually remember where. It was either in Warcom or it was early on in the Primaris kind of, maybe on the second wave of Primaris. There was a little bit of an article that said that rumour has it that Fabius Bile has been working on his own version of the Primaris project, right?
Yep.
And to me, it seems like at some point that was a deliberate tease, right? No one wrote that without there being something behind it. To me, I think they had maybe planned to do the same thing with Chaos and have, Fabius Biles created this new way of making Primaris Chaos. And at some point they've actually made the decision, no, let's stop with this and let's go down a different path, which is good. Yeah. Because that would have been annoying, I think, to have the same excuse for upscale Marines used twice, essentially.
Also, lore-wise, once Primaris Marines are out there, Chaos can make them, because you get your novitiate from a crag and you shove 19 ingredients into them and bang, you've got a Space Marine. Or you get your novitiate from Medengrad in the Iron Warriors homeworld and shove 19 ingredients into them, bang, you've got an Iron Warrior. Well, as soon as they've got Primaris to look at, they're like, they've done that, they've done that. Okay, let's shove a couple more in there. Done. It's not that once you've invented the iPhone, it's easy to stick a couple of things on it. It's just that the Emperor was the Steve Jobs of his day, and he did it's easier to add. It's easier to innovate than to invent.
Yeah.
I'm full of the.
You're a knowledge machine.
I'm bursting today.
And in theory, the Chaos just have to board and defeat the Space Marines on a ship that has a Primaris factory machine on it. They've got like slush puppy
apothecary things. Yeah, just grab a ship with some a slush puppy on it, any apothecarian and a couple of Primaris Marines, done. It's not that tricky. Crossing the Rubicon is a bit tricky. They've established that in the law, because you've got to sort of gut someone completely open, flay them apart, tinker around a bit, put them back together again. A bit tricky that, but from the age of 6 or 12 or easy. Just give them a couple of extra sweeties, pat them on the head, wish them, you'll be fine, kid. You'll be fine. Just keep on keeping on. Next question.
I actually really like this question from King Bill. It does sort of cross over some of the stuff that we've already been talking about on other episodes, but I like this, and I just want to bring it to the forefront. So when we did the two-parter, where we discussed the Emperor's Toolbox, right, where we were trying to assign the roles of the legions.
Yes.
So King Bill says the Primarchs are facets of the Emperor. Could their fate mirror his own, like 20 external fragments of his soul? Horus's death is the Emperor's loss of ambition. Conrad the loss of his foresight. Alfarius' death allows humanity to finally see him for what he is, a god emperor. When all Primarchs are lost, could the Emperor be no more? I like that as a question, as a thought.
A really good question. The fact that he nailed the ambition, because people sometimes ask, what was Horus's role. Other people had role, and Horus himself said, "I am his ambition." The fact that he nails that right and the foresight, that's a really good question. Yeah. Next one.
Do you have anything to say on that one?
It's just, well, when all the Primarchs are dead, that's a big statement.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going that way. I think it's going the other way. We're getting all the Primarchs back again.
Yeah, and also, I think Vulcan might throw a slight spanner in those works.
Oh, Vulcan, of course. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, we've refused to spoil on this so far, but I don't know if anyone watching doesn't know about Vulcan, but,
Yeah.
Good question, though, King Bill, even though we're leaving it... Yeah.
No, it's good. It's a good question. That's a dissertation, that is. If you're writing a thesis on 40k, that's a good one. Yeah,
the 20 facets of the Emperor.
You can get 20,000 words out of that, no problem.
Yes.
I like it.
Right, we've got a few questions. We're running around 5-6 minutes left, and we got a couple of sort of opinion-based ones.
Right.
So let's find his name before I just spurt it out. The question is essentially, which race from the novels would you like to see that don't have a model range? Essentially, I'll find out who it was who asked that. It was Offspring. There we go.
Offspring. I think my mind immediately goes to Murder, the Megarachnids. Everyone assumes the Megarachnids on... Not everyone, but the Megarachnids on Murder come across as very Tyranid-esque.
Proto-Tyranids, because they're very sharp bits, haven't they?
But Dan Abnett has said, no. It's basically a race of giant space spiders. Nasty, fast space spiders. How horrifying would that look? So... Yeah. That they got the flying ones, you've got the acid one, you've got the thing. So it would be good to see them. But they got wiped out, made extinct on Murder. I mean, Murder was the game reserve, and that was all that was left, or the prison colony, and that was all that was left over. And then they're gone. So they would look cool, but they don't exist anymore. So Harud for me. I think there's a Harud-shaped gap in Warhammer 40k that they could easily fill.
Yeah. Are the Harud the ones that use the weapons that make you age beyond reason?
Harud, all about radiation, all about living underground, lots of radiation, and they're immune to radiation. Yeah. So it's all about heat, radiation, aging, chemical stuff.
Gross.
They're an infestation like the Orc that have been around. They were one of the bioweapons made by the old ones 60 million years ago or 90 million years ago. So they've been around for a very, 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 very long time. And they have got tech, and they live under planets.
Yeah.
And they're mentioned in Heresy as well. So it's
Bokaj San asks, is Mortarion as bad as people think, or has he only done everything he can to protect his sons from things outside his control? Out of the traitor Primarchs, is he the one who lost the most? I think they all lost a lot. Some of them were giving it away anyway. Kurz was already fed up of his legion's bullshit, basically. So the Night Lords were, he didn't really lose them. He gave up on them as he went mad. I don't know. I know that Mortarion had to give in because everyone was dying of plague.
He was the last one to turn to the ruinous powers.
Yeah.
He's the last one. They all set traps for them, and he's the last one to fall into the trap. No, he didn't really. Typhus, it's all Typhus.
Yeah, Typhus was a naughty boy.
But they kind of retcon it a little bit. Not retcon it. In the Buried Dagger, and also in... I forget which book. It's in the Solar War as well. That it's not so much a retcon, it's... I forget which author puts in different points of view, so it isn't just Typhus leading him astray and getting stuck in the warp for however. There's counterpoints, different ways of looking how it all went down in the end. Maybe it wasn't Typhus. What are you doing? What are you doing?
My camera keeps going out. It's trying to autofocus. Sorry. Carry on.
Yeah. His story is more complicated than we were led to believe, but that's Horus Heresy for you. More complicated. His Primarch book isn't great, but his origin story is covered quite well in The Buried Dagger, and he does come across as quite a dude. The OG Mortarion was good, but he did turn like that.
Yeah.
So Horus said, "Come with me," and he went, "Okay."
I wonder, the final part of that question is he the one who lost the most? And no, I'd say there's an argument that Horus lost the most, had the most to lose, initially. And again, what happened to Horus, I mean, Horus was an excellent Primarch before
he was a dude as well. People enjoyed his company, hanging out with him, laughing, joking.
Yeah, he was a bro.
Charismatic.
And he got betrayed and he got tricked and he lost his entire... He was the head of the most ambitious and galaxy-changing project there had ever been. And he lost it all to some crazy bald guys, some weird monkey people with weapons, evil weapons. I mean, really, it didn't take much, actually, when you think about it.
Well, he got stabbed by a cursed dagger that was invented and bred. Its sole purpose in time was to stab him and to lead him astray. It wasn't an easy thing, and even then he resisted it for a long... There was a whole process.
Yeah.
The Ruinous Powers, each of the Primarchs that they took a long time, took years to take each of them. And a plan that was thousands of years in the making. Horus had the most to lose, I think. You're right. He was the War Master. He would have first among equals, venerated above them all, loved by. That's the other thing. It's like when Dawn is told and other people have told, they could imagine that, well, if it was Kurz, obviously, or maybe if it was Perturabo, they'd get it. But Horus could never. They loved him.
Yeah. And Horus Rising, he does just come across as a bro.
Yeah. Yeah, when you read the first book, you're like, Horus is so cool.
Yeah, and I knew what was going to happen because it was such an integral part. I actually don't know how it was for people who got into Warhammer later, but back in second edition, I remember someone making that diorama. And it was diorama. Yeah, and it was just like, I remember going to Games Day and just being like, this is so important and so
it's at
epic.
Warhammer World now, that one with Horus, Sanguinius on the steps, the Emperor and Horus. It's there. It's in the very first when you go in to Warhammer World. So anyone in the UK or come to the UK, and if you ever go to Warhammer World, you have to visit the art gallery, the exhibition hall. It's like £7.50 or something like that, but you'll spend hours in there.
So good.
And when you're going through the door, that diorama before you go up the stairs into it is right there.
Yeah,
it's right there.
And that was big for a lot of kids who were around in the early 90s when that came. That must have been so early 90s, like 92 or something, or 93, or I don't know, something like that. But it was big.
Yeah.
Right, we've got one question left, and it's not a question. It's from Marius Gage, who prefaced it with, "Okay, you asked for questions, so this is all on you, not me. Take your pick. 3 questions." Right?
Okay, it's my fault. Let's go.
Oh, there's 4 questions.
It's our fault. Right, let's do them rapid fire. Let's see if we can knock them off, because Marius, he's a bit of a troublemaker, that fella.
Oh no!
So I'm sure none of them are going to be nice, or maybe one. Let's go.
Okay, I feel The Devastation of Baal is the best book for someone to start a book journey into 40k.
You're wrong, Marius. You're just wrong. Next one.
I'm desperate to... Basically, he was saying, is it good? Yeah, it's good.
Because if you want to start The Devastation of Baal, you shouldn't do The Devastation of Baal first. You should do Dante first and then The Devastation of Baal. So even if it was, you're still wrong. Next.
I'm desperate to learn how Winters envisions the arrival of the Primaris torchbearer fleets to the 13th. Although last time I asked, he hadn't given it much thought, I believe, so feel free to ignore.
I did the Fate of the 13th and the Penitent Forgers, a video that came out in 8th edition, and I did describe the fact that during the Great Rift rips through the galaxy, and the 13th at the time were doing what they normally do, which is chill in deep space. We're a fleet-based chapter, and whenever we retreat, we don't have to retreat to a planet, to a star, to a thing. We retreat to deep space, because no one will ever find you in deep space. It'd be like trying to find a grain of salt in an ocean. You can't find someone. So that's where we go when we want to repair and rebuild. And bear in mind that there's some ARC ships that we've, if you've listened to, and I know Marius has actually, and listened to the story times, like we're towing behind this whole battleships that we use to take apart to build out. So we were out there when all that crap went down. Is like, so we stayed there for a bit, like what's going on? Few probes here, there, and everywhere, and then found out about Guilliman. And then a few more probes here and there to find out, okay, Guilliman, what's he about? And then saw the Indomitus Crusade, and then saw and then were cordially invited after some feelers to meet Guilliman. And there's a bit I narrate in the Fate of the 13th and the Penitent Forge where the fleet turn up, or a portion of the fleet turn up, with Sol Garrow, Snow, a bunch of others, and there's the Torchbearer fleets of the Primaris and Guilliman, and they meet in deep space, because bear in mind the 13th were renegade once, excommunicated by the Inquisition, which means that 90% of the Inquisition and the Imperium hate them, but 10% of them still like them, because it's, and then they walk onto the ship and wait around, and there's the fleet master there and a few other people there, and then Guilliman walks in, and everyone hits a knee, because Guilliman walks in, but the 13th stand. And he comes up and says, you do not kneel. And the 13th look him straight in the eye and say, we do not bend. We're the 13th and we do not bend, which is it's the last words of Chapter Master Manus, who was the last Chapter Master of the 13th, was I do not bend, did not bend for the Inquisition, and we will not bend for Guilliman. And Guilliman does a proclamation, which is he can see, basically, my law happened to bump perfectly into Guilliman's view of the Imperium, because the 13th hold on to the old ideals, that it isn't about a God Emperor, and it isn't about the institutions, it is about mankind. It is about carving a space out free from Xenos, heretics, witches, demons, for mankind. And Guilliman looked at him and said, you're good guys now. We're not going to hunt you anymore. Here's Primaris tech. Here's a bunch of new tech. You're never going to be hunted again, and go away and do what you do. Keep doing. I'm not going to give you any orders. I'm not going to tell you to come and join the Torchbearers. I'm not going to tell you to join the Indominus Fleet. You're doing much more work, doing what you guys do. Go. And so we're like, okay. And then we left, and we took all our presents with us, and have now a holiday on the fleet called Happy Guilliman Day, which we have on the 25th of December every December. It's like Happy Guilliman Day. That's where so that's what happened. It was all very cordial in the end.
They got very lucky then, the 13th, because for example, the chapters that sided incorrectly or were tricked into siding with the Astral Claws in the Badab Wars, when it came down to Primaris time, they were not given Primaris Marines, but they were given the machines to make them. So it was kind of like, you've been naughty in the past, but you're doing good now. You're doing really good now. So as a punishment still, because we're still going to punish you after making you do 1,000 years of 100 years of crusading, whatever it was. We're going to give you the machines to make your own Primaris.
Yeah.
Have fun, but you're not getting any of the ones that we pre-cooked. You're not getting any ones that we made earlier. So the 13th were lucky in that sense. Cause
I did really think about it. I thought, like, this is a massive change. A Primarch's back. The galaxy ripped it. What would happen? What would really happen? And I was prepared to stay renegade. I remember talking to friends, family, loved ones, the Prime Minister about it, all sorts of things. It was a terribly difficult decision for me to make. Ran it past the House of Lords, all that shizzle. What am I going to do? And in the end, I was very lucky that my law leaned quite closely to where... So the 13th essentially get some Primaris tech, and we get an influx of people, the second company, from Macragge. Now, I'll put that in there as well. I like the idea of the second company, Primaris from Macragge, because it brings about the idea that maybe Guilliman, being Guilliman, is like, okay, you can go off and do it on your own, but here's 500 Marines you've got to look after as well. And they're spies, they're in amongst you. And maybe there's a bit of that grey, not just black or white, but the bits of grey in between. I was happy to go wherever the narrative took me. So, for example, in the latest twist in the 13th story time with Chaplain Snow against the Word Bearers, Chaplain Snow dies. And I've been with him for ages, and he's a core part of the Legion. He's a core part of my hobby. And now he sits on someone else's shelf, and I killed him off in the lore.
Did you
because
cry?
That's where the lore took me. No, that's where the lore took me. And a lot of people ask, well, why didn't you do this? And why didn't? No, it doesn't. I don't serve the law. It doesn't. The law serves me.
Yeah.
It goes where it goes. There will be more heroes. There'll be more traitors. There'll be more villains. It moves. It floats. It shifts.
And in the words of George R.R. Martin as well, creating a genuine, permanent changes create a genuine sense of peril. And the fact is that you're willing to do that means that any major event in the 13th could go any way. It could be anything could happen, you know? And that will make it far more exciting, I think.
And so there are some people who saw those battle reports and some people who've listened to the Storytime Ambush, and I got quite a few personal messages about that. There was quite a few people who were affected by it. And I'm sorry if I caused any distress. Believe me, I didn't want that to happen. I've said before many times, Snow's my fave. I wanted to keep him around. But no, it's that's what happened. So we move on. And
I can't remember now.
Have fun doing it. The tragedy of it is so tragic. It's brilliant.
I came very close to charging, and I'm not sure whether it was Sol Garrow or whether it was Chaplain Snow. I can't remember which one you brought to it.
It was Sol Garrow.
Yeah, my Warsmith was that close to charging him, and they're gone now. The last argument of Kings have kind of just fizzled away. They had their moment to shine, they didn't. But maybe in the future, my Night Lords might track them down, or they might bump into each other, and we'll see what happens. I've had a very nice custom Warlord made for me by a member of the community.
Stranger Comes Knocking.
Yes.
Nice.
So they've got it. He's got to come out. He's got to appear on the channel at some point. He's got all the bits and the hair. And
if a Stranger Come Knocking made him, we definitely want to put him on the channel. Gorgeous model conversions that guy does. Yeah,
he's a big Terminator with claws, and he's got the Conrad hair. He's got bits of flesh and chains.
What weapons have you given him?
Dual lightning claws.
Lightning claws. Nice.
He is equipped not for power but for Night Lords. You know, he wants his bloody claws, and they were supposed to be relic claws, but we'll see what happens. If there's going to be relic claws in 10th or what, we'll see.
Well, I thought, okay, right, we'll see what happens. They might just be intent. They might be cursed weapons. They might be something like that. One of the things they've put on the datasheet for Terminators, for example, is it says power weapon. Just like it says cursed weapon in the Chaos Space Marine book. It doesn't matter whether you've got an axe, maul, claws, whatever. It's a cursed weapon. In the Space Marine book, it's a power. It doesn't matter if you've got a power axe, mace, whatever it is, sword, it's a power weapon. I like that. So those are the points. Put it on. That's what it does. I mean, honestly, in close combat, is there, when you're getting attacked by an 8-foot tall superhuman dressed in a JCB, does it really matter if he's hitting you with a sword or an axe? It's going to sting. It's going to leave them bruised. You're going to need a bandage or something. You know what I mean? The last question from there. There was a question about Godblight that I think we'll come back to another time. I'll do it quickly.
You sure you want to?
Yeah, go on.
All right.
I feel like I'm going to roll this evening.
Marius, you've got a lot here. I feel like if we had 10 more questions, I think we could have kept going.
Probably.
Next time, 10 more questions, people. Because it's bank holiday, you know.
Is it?
We're all light-hearted. Yeah, everyone's having a great time. I'm going to go and drink after this.
Nice. What are you drinking?
I'm going to try. It's a something that my sister recommended
Right.
is apple Jack Daniels with lemonade.
Apple Jack... What?
Now, I am a neat whiskey drinker. Let me just put this out there. I drink neat bourbon and single malt. I don't drink with mixers.
Jack Daniels isn't really whiskey, though, is it?
No, exactly. This isn't apple flavoured. I'm assuming it's going to taste like some...
Piss.
Yeah. It's going to taste like piss.
Why are you drinking it, then?
Because I wanted to try it.
Okay.
I've been recommended it, so...
Well, there you go. Food orientated, food motivated. Hey, try this. So the answer to why am I trying it? Because I've never tried it before.
Yeah.
It might be the best thing ever.
Yeah, I also tried Fanta and milk together, which was a TikTok trend. That was disgusting. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
But I did try... Oh, sorry. We will ask this question in a minute. I did try another TikTok trend.
Right.
Which was a slice of Monterey Jack cheese in a frying pan. Hot frying pan. It starts to bubble and it turns into like a crispy... Turns into a solid...
I can imagine.
Yeah. Basically it's because it's starting to fry. Then you get a pickle.
Yeah.
Right? We get these Polish pickles from the Polish supermarket, which are different to the...
Are they sour?
Crap. Yeah, they're sour. Yeah. And you put that in the middle of the cheese and you wrap this crispy cheese around it.
Yeah.
Incredible. And at first I was like, hang on a minute, this is just like cheese and pickle sandwich. Yeah. But honestly, delicious.
Damn it, I'm writing that down.
Write it down.
Cheese downstairs and I've got some Polish things.
Yeah. Do it. But it's got to be like sliced, a thin slice of cheese so that you make a blanket. A crispy cheese blanket.
A crispy, cheesy blanket.
That wraps around a nice pickle from Europe.
What are you doing on the TikToks then anyway? Have you never had sex?
I don't have TikTok, but my wife finds these and is like, let's try this.
Has she ever had sex?
Probably not, no.
Because that's the TikToks, isn't it? People who don't... who
I think it's been taken over a lot by
it's
men.
Like Instagram is full of people like that who've been punched in the mouth. And TikTok is full of people who are 12, basically.
No, it's been totally taken over by middle-aged bald men.
Has it?
Yeah, so it's not cool anymore.
Oh.
But anyway.
Where are the kids at these days, then?
Probably on Bebo. Bebo!
Is there
My voice broke! I turned into a child! MySpace, probably. MySpace.
You finally reached puberty. Your voice was broken.
They're on Netscape Navigator. Anyway, first search term I ever put onto my home internet on a dial-up modem was Games Workshop. No, it's Games Workshop, and they didn't even have a proper website.
Oh,
anyway. When asked about the end of Godblight, Guy Haley left the interpretation on who what intervened to help Urubute open-ended. Riffing on that idea, what else do you think could have been at work there if not the Emperor? We're talking about that little girl thing, right? And the little...
It's the Emperor.
It's the Emperor, yeah.
It's the Emperor.
Who appeared as a child? Was that right? I'm trying to remember it now.
Well, particularly with the end and the death, like the Emperor appears as whoever he needs to appear, or wherever he needs to appear to get the message over. What effect did it have? Well, it had the effect as if the Emperor turned up, so it was the Emperor.
I didn't like those books, I'm going to be honest.
You didn't even like the bit at the end of Godblight with all the things. No, the power of Christ compels you. There were gets inside him and all that.
Yes. They're all right, but I think I was used to a different caliber. I went straight from reading good heresy books to those.
Here's the thing. You can't break up and go. You've got to You've got to like have a palate cleanser first, then hit those books, and then you'll appreciate them for what they are, because they are. See, people often think that for Black Library is all bolter porn, and it's not. No. Horus Heresy is definitely not bolter porn, and the best books like Agents of the Throne and the Night Lords thing, and they're not bolter porn. No. They're actually thrillers or dramas or this or that. Yep. Having said all that, the 40k books like Godblight and Devastation of Baal, and they're bolter porn. That's what they are. They're bolter porn fantasies.
It's like tuning in to watch an action movie one night. It's like watching Street Fighter the movie the live action movie one night, and then on another night you want to watch something else, like There Will Be Blood or something. You know, it's that different from one another. Or the best horror film that's come out recently, which was Midsummer.
It's a terrible movie. It's the worst movie in the world.
Someone actually came on to the STC thing to say that you were just wrong.
I am 100% right.
No, you're wrong. And I backed... No, there's a comment on the last STC. Someone left a comment on YouTube and said, Winters is wrong about that. And I said, isn't he just?
Well, I think we can completely agree with each other that I'm right. And you're wrong. It's not the best horror movie in recent times. Megan is there. And that's not really a horror movie either. It's kind of a semi-pastiche, but that's really good. Okay. Or Me3 Gan, or however, M3 Gan.
I don't think I've seen that.
Midsommar is just a big pile of giraffe shit, isn't it? It's like that's exactly high what it's like. Pile.
Have you seen giraffe. That Silmarink or whatever it's called?
Silmarink? I saw John Wick 4.
No, this one's on Shudder.
What?
The Silmarink.
Silmarink on Shudder. I don't even know what Shudder is.
It's on Amazon. It's a horror streaming service. Never mind.
Well, I know what Amazon is.
Yeah, you can watch the Silmarink there.
Right.
It's an interesting watch.
Marks out of 10.
It doesn't go on that scale. You've got to watch it. It's a very bizarre... It's kind of like what happens if you combine memories of your childhood, fuzzy memories of your childhood, with a university art and experiment lecture. Very weird. The sound is really, really heavily compressed. It's all from the perspective of children. It's very strange.
Is this some art house movie?
It kind of feels like it, yeah.
It's compressed. It's from the point of view of children. What else? It's like, what?
There's a lot of long lingering shots of like
staring out at
corners.
the window.
No, like corners of walls and stuff.
What
which was something that we were.
No,
watch it.
I'm not watching that any more than I'm watching Midsommar again. And if you're watching this, do not watch Midsommar. It is a big pile of giraffe poo.
Right, person who commented last time, gather your friends. We need to get the comments in favour of Midsommar. We've got to teach this man that his taste in film is fallible. He's made some mistakes. He can admit it. He can just be the bigger man and admit that he's wrong one day. Off the top of your head, you don't have to say top 5 or anything, but off the top of your head, what do you think are some of the best movies you've seen? The Green Knight.
Okay.
Hang on, this is hard because I love so many. There's so many films that I love. The Green Knight, The Innkeepers by Ty West. Oh God. The Ballad of Buster Suggs, whatever it's called. You've seen that, surely. Great films. Double Dragon the movie.
Fuck off. Now,
no, when you ask me, I can't think. Evil Dead 2 is a masterpiece.
Yeah, but your brain should immediately go Matrix, Lord of the Rings, Shawshank Redemption, Aliens.
No,
boom, boom,
Alien.
boom, boom.
The first Alien is genuinely an incredible masterpiece, and I also, whether people like it or not, I love Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I think those two films, I really enjoy them as films. I think they're really good. Is that controversial?
Best TV shows of all time. The ones that really stand out to you.
TV shows. Oh no.
So again, the answer is Firefly, The Wire,
Band of Brothers. No, I'm with you in all those.
Straight, bam, bam, bam. Yeah. But your movie tastes then are just left of centre. Okay, I'm never going to take a movie recommendation from you ever.
Firefly is
Double Dragon the movie.
So good. No, I'm joking. I've never seen Double Dragon the movie.
That just tells me Warsmith Chris's favourite movie of all time is Double Dragon the movie, and that tells you everything you need to know. And you ask him what his greatest things are of all time, and he couldn't say The Matrix. It wouldn't just come out.
No, it's not The Matrix.
Good. Lord of the Rings. Boom, out.
Jurassic Park.
It's really good, but I wouldn't say it wouldn't be up there with
No.
some of my best.
No.
I mean,
A lot of my favourite things are horror films, to be
Okay.
honest. Classic horror films.
Well, 28 Days Later,
love all
would
of
you
them.
put that as a horror film?
I wouldn't say... Yeah.
Immediately springs to mind.
It's now moved... It's moved into classic horror films. It feels like it was a contemporary horror film, but actually it's really old now.
It stands the test of time.
It stands the
that
test
one.
of time.
However, the girl, the teenage daughter, her acting is atrocious. I don't know where they got her from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
There's
was
some movies that still work now, many, many years later. What was the one I watched?
American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, that's just outstanding.
Yeah.
That is a piece of cinematographic. That's what it is.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. What's the one that I watched the other day and it still stood the test of time? It still 12 Angry Men still floors me. That's like from the 50s.
12 Angry Men. Okay. I've got a lot of Hammer horror. No, I've got a lot of Hammer horror.
Oh, it's not a horror
them.
one, sorry. It's just one that I just watched literally a couple of nights ago again. I was like, that was fun. I hadn't seen it for about a decade. It's like, oh man, that is just some of the best writing.
One
So
day...
horror for you. Why horror?
I don't know, I just always...
I mean, I
loved
don't
horror.
have any particular genre. It's just...
No, I'm not like horror genre, only watch horror films, but
Yeah.
a lot of... I'm just one of those kids that watched a lot of horror on VHS and sci-fi and fantasy.
And
Which is probably why I'm a nerd and love 40k and Lord of the Rings and stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of Cthulhu, a lot of... In OG 40k, there's a lot of Cthulhu in it.
Yeah, big Lovecraft fan as well.
Yeah.
Love all that. Love Gothic, the Gothic imagery in films and artwork, but not like modern Gothic, but like actual Gothic. You know, yeah.
Not faux Gothic. Not IKEA Gothic.
No.
Not like I'm trying to go for the Gothic look, but not too grey, like an off-white.
Yeah. Although I do really like Interview with the Vampire, which is the...
have you read the books? They're fantastic.
I haven't read the books.
The books are really, really good. Obviously, you should never judge a book by its movie.
Yeah.
But most movies... I wouldn't recommend books from movies most of the time. For example, never read Dune. Dune books are... They're really hard to read. Like Lord of the Rings as well. Isn't the best read.
You know,
he's very wordy. It's very... If you're either someone who's going to really love it or hate it.
Yeah.
Same with Frank Herbert's Dune. You're going to love it or hate it. And I can't really recommend it. But there are certain books which just, boom, are... You have to... The Princess Bride and the Interview with the Vampire series is just... They add so much more to the movie.
Game of Thrones, unfortunately, is like that. That I've read all the books.
Read the books.
No, read the books because they're great.
No, they're terrible.
Oh.
What will happen in the books is... Because that you'll follow... loads of different quests that never made it to the TV show, right?
Yeah.
And you'll follow quests of this guy who does this, and dies, and doesn't have any effect. And that'll go for 3 books and doesn't have any effect of the overall outcome. There's so much more meat and flesh.
Yeah.
But 80% of it has no impact.
And never goes anywhere.
Anywhere.
Without
What's the
spoilers,
point?
those in the know, Lady Stoneheart is the biggest question mark above my head. Like, that should have been incredibly impactful, but it disappears because we're never going to find out.
I think it would have been difficult to... Lady Stoneheart would have been interesting, but mind you, they went that way with the guy with the grayscale anyway and the stuff, so they could have gone that way with her. They could have leaned into it, but it was in Westfold rather than over there. Yeah, there's things that they could have done, but I mean... Game of Thrones, the worst ending for any season ever. Like how they dropped the ball on that. Yeah. Do you remember? See, at the end, it was all about the big battles. Do you remember in season 1, 2, and 3 where they didn't even show you the battles because the writers for Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones wasn't about what happened in the battles. It was about all the stuff that happened around the battles. Plus, they didn't have the budget to show you any of the battles. And then by the end of the season, for some reason, they thought it was all about the battles.
Yeah,
That wasn't what made it big in the first place.
Yeah. And it was very sad to see that happen. To be honest, I haven't watched the House of the Dragon.
I haven't watched it yet. No, I'm waiting for the next season to smash it and then consume.
Did you watch Shogun back in the day?
Yeah, it's a long time though.
Love Shogun.
Yeah, Shogun was good.
joking.
That was good.
I'm going to finish this with an anecdote.
Okay.
And last time, I can't remember which event it was. I think it was a narrative event. And it ended up just being... What was it? I was in a room with Sultan and Mordy and John.
Okay.
And when they were, just as they were trying to go to sleep, I played them the Tom Bombadil song section from Lord of the Rings. And if anything shouldn't be in the book, in the trilogy of Lord of the Rings, it is the pages and pages of Tom Bombadil singing nonsense songs, which I treated them all to. I just thought I'd leave you that little anecdote. They loved it. They had a great time. I'm sure Mordy and John, being as ancient as he is, had a great night's sleep after listening to all that.
Yeah.
And anyway, we need to start our own film critic podcast where we just fight each other over what films are good and what ones aren't.
And how the rest of the internet agrees with me because you're wrong.
They're not. They're going to be in the comments. You're going to see them. They're going to come out in force and they're going to say all the stuff that Chris said is amazing. Winters, you're out of touch. You're wrong about Midsummer. And I think you're going to really upset some people about Dune, the book, by the way.
You're out of touch. You're
They're going to hate that.
I've got it right there. I'm looking at Dune and the other ones, and I'm one of the people who have read it all the way through. What I'm saying is, I like it. I like Lord of the Rings. I've read Lord of the Rings a dozen times. I've read Dune. It's hard. I've read the first one 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a lie. I've read the first one about 3 times, actually. But I can't recommend it because it's not an easy read. It's not a page turner in the way that Dan Abnett can write page turners, and you want to get to the next page. J.R.R. Tolkien, for all his massive world building and intellect and scope and character development, does like to talk in the middle of a battle about the boom and the updraft, and he talks with such Shakespearean gravitas that you have to stop and read every bit to get. And it's lovely if you like that sort of thing, and I fucking love that sort of thing. But I can't recommend it.
His characters do sing a lot and say a lot of poetry as well when they don't need to.
And I can't recommend that, and I can't recommend Midsummer to anyone ever.
Okay.
And anyone who does, clearly just Club's baby seals.
All right.
I think he's a chaos worshipper or something. He might have Warsmith Chris in his name. It's just a horrible person. Horrible person.
That's me.
You're wrong.
That's me.
You should apologise to humanity for these crimes.
You know what? I will later.
You haven't seen The Princess Bride, right?
Yeah, of course I've seen The Princess
Read that book. That book is it's just you have to read the book.
All right.
You have to read the book.
And if anyone does get round to reading Dune, you will realise it is proto Warhammer 40,000.
Yes.
So, it doesn't mean you shouldn't skip it entirely. Give it a go.
Is it proto?
It's got the foundations of a lot of 40k lore.
Yeah, but everyone stole from everyone and borrowed and inspired from, and it's heavily
Yeah. There's a lot of inspiration.
There's a God Emperor of Mankind and Navigators and the Warp and yeah. Okay, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving right.
All right. Well, I think we should just say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah. Games Workshop never stole anything.
Yeah, they never stole anything.
No.
Thank you, everyone. Go watch Midsummer. We've had a great time. Love you.
Don't. It's awful. Your brain will.
Love you. Don't listen
watch
to
it. Whatever you
don't
do,
listen to
don't watch it.
Like a stop it.
No. Don't.
Right. Love you.